What is going on, everybody? It's the Frost, and we're here for AEW Rampage and SmackDown review for February the 18th, 2022. Tonight was a little bit of a different mix-up as AEW Rampage was on at 7 Eastern. Why was AEW Rampage on at 7 o'clock tonight? Well, the real simple reason your answer was the NBA All-Star Weekend is this weekend. And the All-Star Game is going to happen, of course, on TNT, if I'm correct, on Sunday. But the All-Star Weekend starts tonight. And they started it at 9 o'clock, so about an hour ago. The pre-show, of course, at 8. So Rampage had to be on at a different time. And they got the 7 o'clock hour. Was it a good show? Yes. Do I prefer this time? Yes. Watching Rampage than SmackDown is so much better than having to be on watch from 8 to 11. I'd rather have 7 to 10 any day of the week if you're going to make me watch 3 hours of professional wrestling between two different brands. Tonight we had Jay White take on Trent Beretta. We also had Serena Deeb's 5-minute challenge, Who Cares, and Adam Cole versus 10, as well as Dante Martin versus Powerhouse Hobbs in a Face of the Revolution ladder match qualifier. And we were also informed of the women's and men's world championship matches going on at Revolution as the show went on. So we start out with Adam Cole versus 10. Adam Cole rocking the black and red tonight, so awesome color scheme for him. Obviously, this match came to be because on Wednesday, Adam Cole and Red Dragon beat up on Adam Hangman Paige, and 10 pretty much just went ballistic on a bunch of security guards because he couldn't get a hold of them. I'm surprised they didn't make this a trios match of 3 members of not Adam Cole and Red Dragon versus Paige and 2 members of the Dark Order, but no, Stu Grayson, Evil Uno, and 10 versus Adam Cole and Red Dragon. But they decided to go one-on-one. Of course, Adam Cole is the true and only number 1 contender going into Revolution. So you know who's going up against Adam Hangman Page on that night. So this is a really good match here. Of course, 10 is a big, beefy boy. Adam Cole is a little bit smaller, but definitely someone not to underestimate. So Adam Cole had to fight from underneath pretty much as 10 just overpowered him in every which way. So there was no shenanigans from anyone else but Adam Cole. Cole backs the referee into a corner, hits a low blow that she couldn't see, hits the boom, 1, 2, 3. He beats 10. Not clean, but he does beat 10 in the middle of the ring. Cole, Fish, and O'Reilly meet on the ramp to celebrate as Adam Cole beats 10, and he is on his way to getting a world championship title shot coming up very, very soon. So we get a recap of CM Punk's Wednesday night announcement and he'll face MJF in a dog collar match. That'll be very, very brutal. And apparently MJF has been in a dog collar match before once in his career against one and only the all-ego Ethan Page. So yeah, Revolution is really starting to look like it's going to be a very, very stacked show. Is it going to be the best show of the year? We have so many months before we realize what's going to be the best show of the year. But with everything that is being booked for this show, they're coming out swinging to show you that even though they did lose one of the founding fathers, they're going to be one of the best promotions of the year as usual. Speaking of Revolution, we have our next qualifying match as Powerhouse Hobbs takes on Dante Martin. They did make this known that this is also not just a qualifying match, but the rubber match between these two guys. As Powerhouse Hobbs beat Dante the first time, Dante beat Powerhouse thanks to Jay Lethal distraction, and now they're coming in and it's also a chance to get into a match with 2 beefy boys in Wardlow and Keith Lee. Before the bell even rings, you have Hobbs just smash Dante Martin into a corner ready, just wants this. He wants to end this quick. He wants to get to that ladder match and be the man to, fight for the face of the Revolution. Now, going into this, it's like, how are you going to have a ladder match without Dante Martin? The dude is amazing, what he does in the ring. Some of his political views aren't the best, but that's not a here nor there. But the dude is amazing in the ring. But right now, it looks like AEW is going to be pushing for a hoss fight fest type of ladder match. They have a good match here. Dante Martin tries to do everything. He tries to counter everything. He tries to get through and win this match. Unfortunately, he does not win. It is Powerhouse Hobbs who overpowers Martin into a spine buster. Gets the pin and the win. Didn't even beat him with the torture rack. Beats him with a spine buster. Spine on the pine to make it into the match. So far, the three members in this Face of the Revolution ladder match are Wardlow, Keith Lee, and now Powerhouse Hobbs. Three big dudes. Now, when you usually think of a ladder match, you think of high flyers, small guys who are going to go out there and show you great moves. Here, we have Wardlow, Keith Lee, and fucking Powerhouse Hobbs. Three guys who are not in the slightest small. We move on from this to utter garbage as... What the fuck was Jade Cargill dressed like? She looked absolutely atrocious. Green hair, this fucking silver suit with dollar signs over it. Who the fuck dressed her for this show, for this segment that it's now official that she's going to put her title on the line against the Bunny on Wednesday night, which is going to be an absolute train wreck. But either way, what the fuck is she wearing? God, that looks terrible. Trinity beats Angel Risk in less than 3 minutes. Who cares? Time for break. We get a recap of the segment with Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson. Getting that match added to Revolution is going to be fantastic. Plain and simple. Revolution is going to be great. So, Mark Henry Stokes talks to the participants in the main event. Jay White gives his reasons why he's here and what he's doing. And then we get the matches for this coming Wednesday as Jade Cargill defends against the Bunny. Malachi Black and Brody King, the Kings of the Black Throne, take on Pac and Penta El Miedo. Eddie Kingston goes face-to-face, comes face-to-face in a face-to-face confrontation against Chris Jericho. And a tag team battle royal, which will probably take up a good portion of the opening part of Wednesday's night show, for a spot in the three-way for the AEW World Tag Team titles at Revolution. I'm fine if they want to do a battle royal and everything. I mean, the men, the tag teams who are in the top spots on the top 5 are really not. We've seen them get title shots before, so it's time to see other teams get title shots. But the fact that you're doing a battle royal this week and then the next week a casino battle royal, that's just a little bit too much of the same. You could have had 2-3 ways between 6 teams to get yourself a chance. I don't know. Next Friday on Rampage, we will have Sammy Guevara versus Andrade El Idolo for the TNT Championship. I do not see a conclusive winner in this. Or I don't see Andrade getting a clean win or any type of win for this. I think that because he screwed Darby out of his match, Darby will screw Andrade. Sammy, Andrade. We already have. This is the thing. It's like you already have a 3-way set up for the tag team titles at Revolution. And yet you make it look like you're going to be building to another 3-way, this time for the TNT Championship between Sammy, Andrade, and Darby. Just a little bit too much on the 3-ways, I think. Speaking of Revolution, Hangman Adam Page will take on Adam Cole, which has been pretty much the direction they've been going since Adam Cole made his debut in AEW, that he was going to be probably one of the first few people to challenge Hangman at the pay-per-view. And Thunder Rosa will be dethroning the AEW Women's World Champion and taking that title off of a clown, taking it and picking it back out of the mud, cleaning it off, and bringing prestige back to that championship, what has been missing for damn near a year. It's about time we get that title on an actual woman who can actually carry it and make it worth something. Jay White versus Trent Beretta. This is Jay White's first match in AEW. Jay White of course, has been doing the rounds on New Japan Strong. He's also been in Impact Wrestling. I believe he is on the No Surrender pay-per-view coming up, a special event for Impact Wrestling coming up, I think tomorrow actually, or sometime soon. And here he is in AEW to show everybody who don't know anything about him, who he is, and how this is still his era and all that good shit. So they have a match here. They have a good match. This was a war. These two went out there and beat the living bejesus out of each other. My goodness. I don't know what the hell, these guys went out there and they wanted to make sure that they gave this crowd their money's worth. My God, this was fucking great. Just beating the hell out of each other. And it was just everything. Jay White, it was back and forth majority of this match. So much so that Jay White gets by on the skin of his teeth to pick up the win. If I can get my scroller to work. Because Trent goes for the Storm Zero and can't get it off because Jay White just gets out of it. He actually shoulder tackles the midsection of Trent Beretta. But Beretta ends with a clothesline, hits a modified power driver for a near fall. White gets a reversal out of nowhere, hits the Blade Runner. 1, 2, 3. Trent Beretta falls to the Switchblade. Jay White. Once Cassidy gets into the ring to check on Beretta, and Jay White just, plays a little bit of mind games with him, messes with him a little bit, and just rolls away instead of escalating further. Says a couple things on camera which you can't hear, and that was that. So, Rampage had a really good show tonight. I really don't care about the entire 5-minute challenge. I don't care what I'm watching or who I think. I just don't care about things like this whole 5-minute challenge. It's obviously what's going to happen is that Serena Deeb is going to continue to do this 5-minute challenge and beat up no-name talents and everything until Sheeta comes back. Sheeta's going to come out, and it's going to be Sheeta stop putting an end to Serena Deeb and all that. And that's where it's going, obviously. So, yeah. What's in the future for Jay White and AEW? I don't know. That might just be the only time we see him. Who knows? Revolution's going to be great. What'll be great is if they get that women's title off of the worst women's champion in history. Women's world champion in history, I should say. And put it on somebody who can actually make that title mean something. Because that title has not meant anything since Sheeta. Well, I wouldn't even say that. Because AEW they don't know how to book women's wrestling. They don't. If you want to be honest about it, they don't know how to book women's wrestling. I know Kenny tries to help lay out matches. Having to book fucking Randy Rhodes for almost 3 years in a positive light did not help things anyway, even though it was usually on Dark and Dark Elevation. They need to get that title off of her. And when Thunder Rosa actually wins it and takes it, she needs to be a fighting champion who doesn't just sit there and cut promo after promo after promo, having a squash match here and there. Now, Thunder Rosa wins that match. She could do an open challenge once in a while or something. Just something to make that title mean something. Because right now, that title means nothing. The TBS title means nothing. All because of who you have them on and how you book the product. Moving over to SmackDown, the go-home show to Elimination Chamber, which I will not be watching. I'll be live on Twitch tomorrow doing my usual stuff around that time. And I just don't even really care about the Elimination Chamber because it's going on in Saudi Arabia, and I have no desire to see anything coming out of Saudi Arabia. But this show was also taped last Friday night after last week's show, and there's a lot of filler in here in the sense of we have a badass retrospective of The Undertaker's career. The news coming out today that The Undertaker is the first person to be formally inducted into the 2022 class of the Hall of Fame. So congratulations to The Undertaker. Definitely was warranted. Definitely was something that was long overdue. Should have retired after he had the streak broken, and then when they went to Texas last time, he would have been available to be inducted then. Corey Graves is at ringside again because this was taped last week, and Pat McAfee was at the Super Bowl and couldn't be here to get this taping done. We come to the ring, and here is Adam Pearce bringing out Sonya Deville, Charlotte 9000, Ronda Rousey, and Naomi for a contract signing. This was awful television. This was just so awful. You have these four women in the ring bickering back and forth. Deville's trying to tell him something. The other two trying to just keep saying shit. It's like, stop stalling. They're yelling and bickering back. And I'm like, shut these women up. Just shut them up. This segment is also the segment that has been talked about that they had to edit because Charlotte decided that she did not want to sell for anybody in this segment. So when Ronda Rousey goes to do something to attack Charlotte 9000, Charlotte just doesn't sell. She refuses to sell. And they had to do their edit job to get this to sell. So the entire segment, you have like Sonya Deville trying to tell Ronda and Naomi something about this match. But they keep interrupting. It's like, stop stalling. Just sign your name. Just stop stalling. So the two, Charlotte and Sonya eventually do sign the contract. But Charlotte's like eventually like, you should really let Sonya tell you about the stipulation in this match. The stipulation, and it's an awful one. Ronda Rousey, a day or two after she beat up Sonya Deville, said that she could beat Sonya Deville up with one arm tied around her back. So Sonya went to upper management and said, that's a good idea. Let's have Ronda Rousey have one arm tied behind her back in this match. And boom, one arm tied behind her back. It's fucking stupid. It's dumb. Ronda, of course, signs the contract without even thinking. She's going to do it no matter what. And then Naomi signs. Ronda goes to pull Charlotte's head down to the table, hit it on the table, and you could just tell they had to edit this. Kevin Dunn, I will give him props on this one, having to work his magic to make this look as good as possible, because in the fan cam footage we saw last week, when Ronda went to do this, Charlotte did not want to move. So Ronda had to pull harder for Charlotte to go face first. And it's like, why is this woman even employed? I'm sorry, but if that's my company and I see Charlotte do that, her ass is suspended. She does it again, her ass gets suspended for even longer. 3 strikes, you're out, you're fucking fired because you won't fucking cooperate with anybody because you think you're better than everybody else. And that's what Charlotte is. And correlating all the way back to the Brandy Rhodes shit, Brandy is the same way. Good thing WWE went like, yeah, we don't want Brandy. Brandy's not coming back to WWE, and I think that's a smart deal. So, yeah, it's signed, sealed, and delivered. It's for tomorrow. If you're watching, go by all means, watch away, but it's in Saudi Arabia. I have no desire to see it, and that is that. We see recent happens in the Sheamus and Rich Holland versus Ricochet and Cesaro feud because it will not die. Sheamus can't believe how Holland still let Ricochet get the best of him, even after they broke his nose. Sheamus says he's never had an issue with taking care of Ricochet. Sheamus goes on gets Holland hyped up about and tells him to watch tonight as he takes Ricochet's head off. Ricochet versus Sheamus. Well, you know how this is going to go. 50-50 booking. 50-50 this, 50-50 that. Nobody gets over. trying to get Rich Holland over by having his boy Sheamus say, "Listen, mate, watch me take this guy's head off." And what happens? Yeah, tell me, what happens? They have a match. These guys wrestled, what, 2-3 weeks ago? Sheamus won. Who's going to win this week? Sheamus misses a bro kick. Holland was on the apron for whatever reason. Holland was on the apron because of Ricochet. Sheamus goes for the bro kick, almost hits Holland. Ricochet moves. Ricochet comes back in, hits the recoil. 1, 2, 3. So Rich Holland screwed Sheamus in the end. After the match, Sheamus gets in Rich Holland's face. He yells at him. He's like, he's not happy at all. He shoves him to the mat and just lets him have even more words. He's not happy the fact that he just got screwed out of a match with Ricochet. Will this do anything for Ricochet? Will Ricochet start going up the card? No. Nah. He'll lose the next time he faces off against these guys. That's that. We get a match for the replay of what happened between Sami Zayn and Rick Boogs last week. Kayla Braxton is with Sami Zayn now and notes how Rick Boogs isn't here tonight due to some suspicious faulty wiring. Zayn insists he had nothing to do with that. Sure you didn't. It goes on about how there's been a conspiracy against him for the Intercontinental title. Says none of that matters because tonight he will be the greatest night of his life as he regains the Intercontinental Championship. He dismisses Kayla so he can breathe and get ready for his match. We go to commercial break. We come back. We get the Undertaker Hall of Fame induction. We get a lengthy video package pretty much highlighting his entire career from the night the $1 Million Man brought him in all the way up to the Boneyard match with an awesome video with different with the music of Kid Rock and what was it, Metallica, I think too, spliced together. It was fucking awesome. I will say one of the biggest, strongest parts of the WWE product are their video packages, and this one was no different. Whoever does these video packages, they need a goddamn raise, Vince. Put a raise on these guys. They're just that good. I'm just saying, they're that fucking good. So, you see the Bloodline backstage hanging out with Universal Champion Roman Reigns. Locker room suite. Reigns and Hall of Famer Oldberg will face off later tonight in the ring. Why? Because WWE can't do anything else. So, Jey Uso comes out with his brother Jimmy. Main event, Jey Uso takes on Ivar of the Viking Raiders. Because coming up very, very soon, they are going to be going on the show down in there for a tag team title shot. That is on tomorrow. Back from break in the Viking Raiders, Ivar and Eric are out there. This match lasts 2 minutes. It felt like 2 minutes. Frog splash from Jimmy, hits the ring and breaks up the pin for disqualification. Ivar wins. Eric hits the bell, hits the ring and attacks Jimmy, taking his headgear back, and then knocking Jimmy out of the ring with it. The Usos take the titles and head back to the ring while the Viking Raiders regain their headgears in the middle of the ring. That was that. A match that could have been a lot better, but ended in a shitty DQ. Typical WWE. Yeah. Something in my mouth. Ugh. Okay, let's see here. Last week we had a backstage confrontation between Drew McIntyre and Madcap Moss. Because Madcap, of course, was trying to get out of his title, out of his match tomorrow. And Drew McIntyre had to convince him to pretend like that wasn't going to happen. Back from break, and I passed out from this because Drew McIntyre's shtick is just getting boring. He talks about how some of the history with New Orleans, Drew has been doing some reflect on his life and career, which almost ended because of this, which this was also edited, and this was shown on Botchamania, actually, that he said because of this, and the video didn't play, and he had to say, on the mic, I'm going to need that video, and then it played. Luckily, they recorded this and fixed it up later. He says he wanted to play the clip only for his benefit so he would remember how he felt when the doctor told him he'd missed WrestleMania season. He recalls being WWE champ during WrestleMania season 2 years ago when he slayed Brock Lesnar and says this year it's damn personal. He goes on about how all things he can do and all the ways he can beat Moss at the Elimination Chamber, and finally the music finally interrupts and out comes Moss and Corbin. Corbin tells Drew to listen to himself and asks what kind of role model he's supposed to be to little Scottish kids.
Moss taunts Drew over his neck and says tomorrow they can fight all over the arena, but the joke is on Drew. Because Moss is great in his environment, and he will finish what Corbin and he started at day 1. Moss cracks another terrible crappy joke about Drew's neck. He and Corbin laugh while the crowd boos. Drew says the whole situation is sad. He says Moss had terrible jokes with all the talent in the world, but he aligned himself with a piece of crap like Corbin, and the biggest mistake he made was coming for Drew. Drew goes on and says he will end and hurt Moss at the Elimination Chamber. It'll be this night the laughter died. The music hits, and Drew stands tall as staring out at Moss and Corbin. Yeah, I don't care. What is Drew McIntyre doing at WrestleMania? Is it going to really be Baron Corbin versus Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania? Holy shit, that sounds terrible. You know, if Cody's coming back to WWE, I'd rather see Drew McIntyre versus Cody at WrestleMania. I'm just saying. Taylor Braxton is backstage with Intercontinental Champion Nakamura. She asked Nakamura about his strategy for the night with Boogs. Sideline, he says he plans to kick Sami in the face. He goes and says Sami must really be insane if he thinks he can beat Nakamura for the title. Cole says Boogs is in a home recuperating from what happened last week on the Insane show. AKA, he's backstage but not allowed to be seen because he's going to sell the injury because, again, this was taped last week. Intercontinental Championship match, Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura. My God, what happened to these two? Y'all remember NXT TakeOver Dallas? Shinsuke Nakamura making his WWE debut against Sami Zayn. How fire that match was. How much everyone talks about that match. And how we were getting a match between those two tonight. And how it could have been, if we gave these guys a chance, they could have rekindled that magic and given us a damn good match. Yeah, well, that was some thinking because, my God, this sucked. This absolutely was so boring. How do you have two guys who can go out there and give you a 5-star quality match and have them go out there and give you a snooze fest? Huh? How could you give us a snooze fest? How could you give these guys, how could you book these guys so poorly for this match and it's a fucking snooze fest? I know it's not the pay-per-view, and I know it's not it's only SmackDown, but still, we've seen bangers on SmackDown. Last week we saw Naomi versus Charlotte, which was a banger. And you give these guys a boring match. I'm sorry, I don't know. Trying not to fall asleep while wrestling, while Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura wrestling is a detriment to WWE poor booking. Midway through the match, Nakamura went for a Kinshasa on the outside, and Sami Zayn got out of the way and shoved Nakamura's knee into the steel steps. Nakamura, that came back to get past Nakamura as Sami Zayn blocked the kick, takes Nakamura back up by his leg and rolls him into a pin for the win, and that is that. Sami Zayn is your new Intercontinental Champion. While Nakamura stays down clutching his knee, he drops in his knees. Sami Zayn does and poses with the IC title. Then we get a video package for Black History Month, and then everything has been going on with Roman Reigns and them. And then we had Goldberg and Roman Reigns stare down, which I could care less about. They talk the talk, no fighting, no nothing, and that was that. So, here's the sad part about Sami Zayn winning the Intercontinental title for the 3rd time, I think, is that apparently his feud with Johnny Knoxville is not over, and Johnny Knoxville is getting a WWE Intercontinental title match at WrestleMania. Are you kidding me? You're going to take that title, which has very little prestige in it anymore because of how you book it, and you're going to have Johnny Knoxville wrestle for it? Another one, and as if Cody's coming back, I'd rather have Sami Zayn versus Cody for the Intercontinental title because you would actually have a competent match and something people would want to see. The fact that you're going to have Johnny go out there and have Johnny Knoxville wrestle for the title is an absolute slap in the face to everybody. Tomorrow is the Elimination Chamber. I have no desire to see it. I'll be on twitch.tv/The France Club tomorrow at that time doing other things, not watching the Elimination Chamber. I'll keep up on it after the show's over with and everything. But tonight's show, obviously you could tell it was taped and all the filler they had to put in there. Not a good show at all. But that is all. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Minds of the Fronts Club. Find me on twitch.tv/The Fronts Club. And find me on Instagram at The Fronts Club. And I will see you guys on Monday for Raw. Until then, my name is The Fronts, and I'll see you guys later.